Frick. Good morning, people. On behalf of Operation Rock, I am Clayton here this morning, and we're going to talk about what I promised to talk about a few days ago, which is how to hold a judge or an attorney accountable using the record of the court. The only way to hold a judge or attorney accountable, forgive me, people. I keep promising myself every time I'm going to make one of these lives that I'm going to adjust this damn setting, and I never do it. So I'm going to actually do it this morning because I'm home today and stop playing and lying to myself, people, because I know damn well that I need to get this done. So, really quick, probably take me 2 seconds. Bang, there we go. Yes, right, rock and roll. And we're live, people. There we go. So, on behalf of Operation Rock, I am Clayton here, and we're going to talk about the truth. The only way that you are ever going to be able to hold a judge or an attorney accountable for violating your rights or doing something wrong to you in court. Because, people, here's the truth. It's not about arguing with them. You can get as mad as you want at a judge or an attorney in court and think they're going to do the right thing with you. They're not. I can guarantee you that. What they're going to do is they're going to use the process, judge or people spreading the message is important. It's always a process. I gotta hire somebody to do this. I just realized I actually could too. That's the funny part. Let's see. You know what we do to make life a little easier? We copy this. Yes, we do. Come on, copy. Now we're gonna share this where I'm confused. Link. That's better. Right, one more time, people, because we're trying to make this work quick to get the hell out of here and get this done. So let's do this quickly. How the hell am I doing this? I'm messing up today, people. But we're gonna get this done quick because I want to get down to the message. Got a funny story real quick too that I'm gonna get to in like 2 seconds. It's freaking hilarious, people. So I got a funny phone call yesterday that I thought was quite interesting. All right, there we go. So I got a funny story yesterday I thought was quite interesting before I get started with my podcast this morning. So I got a call. No, it wasn't yesterday. I'm tripping. It was probably early in the week. So I got a funny phone call, right? Going through my spam. I get a lot of messages from you guys. Thanks. I'm more than happy to help anybody who needs advice with regard to child support, um, getting access and custody to your child, getting your equal father parental rights. Excuse me. I'm more than happy to help you. To everybody who I have helped, thank you because you make me feel good. It really feels good to be able to help people that are not that are able to circumvent some of the things that I went through. Because people, I went through hell. I went through hell. I went through hell. God, I went through hell. And I learned a lot, people. So the best way that you can give back is by trying to help people to avoid the situations that you went through. So I had a young woman contact me yesterday before I get started. And this woman contacts me yesterday with an amazing story. She tells me she's in my spam mailbox first, people, because that's where I was. I don't want to be all over the place. She was in my spam mailbox first. And I said to myself, I was like, who's this person? I didn't know who the person was. So I clicked it and I read the message, and it was a message about my ex-girlfriend. Now, I'm not going to say this person's name because I spread facts, people, and I don't spread gossip. But basically, from a summation of the conversation, this person began to tell me a whole bunch of stuff about my ex-girlfriend that supposedly was quite disturbing. And as I listened to it, I was like, wow, for a second or two, I actually got kind of happy that I had somebody who was telling me all of this stuff about this psycho woman who's been stalking me for years. And I was saying I was immediately thinking how I might utilize it to, like stop what's going on with this woman. But as I listened to this woman talk, I began to say to myself, I said, her story sounds a little fantastic. It was actually incredibly fantastic, people. According to this woman, my ex raped her, ate her vagina. My ex's mother raped her and ate her vagina. The grandmother is part of it. The church is part of this whole sex cult. And my ex slept with Jay-Z. She lost me when she told me she slept with Jay-Z, people. I said, this chick done lost her damn mind. But I was like, okay, sister. So I listened to her for a little while because I realized immediately that this woman only contacted me because my ex had to piss her off some way. You see, people, that's the difference between a true victim and a domestic violence offender. A domestic violence offender would have taken something like that and ran with it to use it to hurt the victim or whoever they were after. But a victim who's just trying to be left alone doesn't spread rumors. They spread facts. So there was no way I was going to condone this woman's story and tell such a horrible lie on my ex and her family, despite the fact that I hate them, because I don't spread rumors, people. I spread facts. So I had to, as politely as possible, decline this woman's invitation to be hosted on my podcast and to provide me with information because I don't even want part of somebody who would do some stuff like that. I'm gonna pray for her and wish the best for her. But sister, I pray you good. I'm no longer interested in any information from you because not that I think you're lying. Every victim has the right to tell their story, believe me. But I can't condone a story that has completely no substance to it. So I declined that story. So the point of today's conversation or podcast is going to be a topic that I did promise last week that we would discuss. And that, let me just get to it real quick. Let's get to it real quick. God, I'm behind today, people. Forgive me. I don't get many days off like this anymore since I started going back to classes. I'm like a semester and a half in on a law degree, people. It's kicking my ass. I'm not even gonna lie to you, but it's been good to me, people. I have to be honest. It has taught me how to deal with some of the major problems in my life that I have never known how to deal with. It has become a very, very effective tool in dealing with misconduct, civil rights violations, and those who think that they can fuck with me by throwing paperwork on me. Because people, it's getting to a point where that's going to become very difficult to be fucking with me with paperwork in about 6 months, people. I've become pretty proficient. What we're going to discuss today, people, is what I said we were going to discuss last week. And that is the truth with regard to your ability to deal with corruption or misconduct or any type of wrongdoing in the court that happens to you. Let's say it's in family court if you're being prosecuted by an opposing attorney. Let's say it's in criminal court if you're being prosecuted by a prosecutor or an assistant district attorney. And let's say that you're in family court and you have a referee, a magistrate, or a judge, or you're in criminal court and you have the same, a magistrate, a criminal court judge, a Supreme Court judge, a Superior Court judge, whatever it might be. Courtrooms are not like the courtrooms are the real world, excuse me. Let me not say that. Because the real world should be only determined by facts. And courtrooms, unfortunately, are not determined by facts. Well, they are. Let me not say that. They're more determined by how the facts are presented openly. That's key. How the facts are presented openly in order so that the complete narrative becomes so clear that those who have the responsibility, to make decisions have to make the right decision. Because the picture that has been painted so clearly with the facts is undeniable that this person is either guilty, you're either liable, whatever it might be, civil, criminal, family court. It only comes down to two things: liability, whether it be civilly, criminally, whatever. It's only two types of liability, people: civil liability, criminal liability, in reference to the law. So this is what you're working on. You're working to try to establish a set of facts supported by evidence that is so clear that a judge, a prosecutor, an attorney has no choice but to totally submit to your argument. Sometimes, if that's not done clearly, what you'll have is confusion. And I'm being nice saying confusion because it's not confusion. Most of the time, it's what I like to call the fuckery or direct ethical misconduct. And that's when judges or prosecutors and attorneys will know that a situation is not the way it's supposed to be, but instead of them doing what's right and just and in accordance with the whole principle of the justice system and the law, they decide to manipulate circumstances to their favor in order to obtain results that may be unduly fair to another party. As an African American male, this is something I've unfortunately experienced my whole life. The biggest mistake I ever made when I was in college, people, was trying to do medicine instead of going into law. And it's probably the reason it took me so long to finish, because I hated medicine. And I spent years jumping around from, I'm forgetting the damn term right now, people. I'm so burnt out from reading all night. Excuse me. from God, what the hell is it? Oh my God, majors. Excuse me. I'm so burnt out from majors. Was so burnt out from jumping majors from school. It took me like years to finally find something that worked for me, so I was able to finish. But still, it turned out not to be my calling. And I've learned that that's sometimes how life is. People, life will do things to you to bring a situation upon you that will expose your true self to you. And I think that what happened to me with my horrible domestic violence and situation where my ex stalked me and is still stalking me for years. Um, what my child's mother did to me when she just horribly robbed me of custody of my only daughter for years, robbing me of her development, her first steps, her first words, any first words that she could have uttered. People, when you're in a situation when you have a partner using racism and law within, excuse me, law enforcement, um, and just the justice system to come after you, you have a problem, and it's something that you're gonna have to learn to deal with. Now, as African Americans, we oftentimes get angry, and there's nothing wrong with getting angry in a court proceeding. People, it's a natural response. If you don't know what the hell is going on and no one's helping you, you become frustrated. And in being frustrated, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to become angry or you're going to become afraid and you're going to cower. Now, most men are going to become angry because you're going to be in a situation where you really have no control. And it seems like everybody is superior to you. And the truth is they are, because they know what the hell is going on and you don't. You just know that you're there because someone alleged something against you or you've been falsely arrested. And you're trying to prove to yourself, hey, listen, and to the people there, hey, listen, I didn't do this. Most people are not going to care, especially people in the justice system, because they have a motive. They have an incentive to have you prosecuted. A prosecutor wants to have you prosecuted because they need you to validate their prosecutor record. A district attorney needs to prosecute you for statistics and to prove the efficiency of the office. The police need to arrest you because the police got to fight crime. They got to make an arrest. And oftentimes, it doesn't really matter if you actually did it. As long as they can kind of show it enough that you did it, they're going to lock you up and they're going to throw you to the DA. And they're going to let the DA craft the final picture that's going to determine your future. The judge needs you there because the judge has to render justice, whether it's just or not just. He still has to make a decision. So the more cases that come before him, if he happens to make some unjust decisions here or there, he's buried in so many cases, most of the time they won't know that he done something to you. The court reporter has to report transcripts, people. How does she do that? With cases before the court's calendar. So your case has to proceed. The security in the court, the sheriffs, the cops, the court officers, they have to be paid and they need hours. A lot of them have families, mortgages, 401ks, etc. So the court process, whether it be criminal justice or the family court system or even civil courts, are propelled by the litigation that's created at the initiating stages. And it's unfortunate, people, because a lot of times litigation is created by falsities, by false narratives, by doctored evidence, by completely false statements that are backed up by people who have adverse motive against the person that they're pursuing. Now, I would probably say, in truth, 30-40% of the times an initial review of a complaint, people can see it's complete bullshit. But we live in a world nowadays where some crazy things happen. So sometimes something that looks like complete bullshit might not be bullshit. So in fairness to the criminal justice system, they have this little thing they call probable cause. And in probable cause, they claim that as long as a reasonable person infers an opinion that you are may have committed this crime, that's enough for a cop to arrest you. Probable cause works in the reverse though, because if someone alleges something on you, and as long as there is enough evidence to support the fact that you probably didn't do it, you also cannot be arrested. But most of the time, the cops don't consider the fact that you probably didn't do something. The only thing they care about is the fact that they can get a collar on you, because again, this substantiates their career path. This substantiates their employment. So cops like to create probable cause, and they do that by falsifying what's known as a criminal complaint. A criminal complaint is the initial paperwork that starts a criminal proceeding against you. If you're arrested by a cop and you sit in the bullpen for 8 hours, 12 hours, whatever the hell it is, You're sitting in that bullpen because they're creating a file of paperwork on you that's going to follow you the entire duration of your interaction with the criminal justice system. While you're sitting in the bullpen, and let's say they call you up to take a mugshot, that mugshot is going to be the picture on your file. When they call you back for fingerprinting, there's going to be a copy of your set of fingerprints in there. When they run your arrest and criminal record, there's going to be your arrest and criminal record in there. All of this is so when you get before a judge and the judge has to make a decision, a judge pretty much knows everything about you before they make a decision. Now, this is why they say the best thing in life is not to have any type of criminal record or negativity against you, because at least when you go before a judge, you don't have a track record of being a fuck up. But now let's say you were younger and you did things, people. You were less responsible. You lived a crazier life. You made some bad decisions, whatever it might be. People were all human. It happens. But you grow up into a man and you leave all of that stuff alone and it's in your past and you become a better person, a more proficient person, a more effective person, a good father, a good member of your community, a functioning member of society. You're paying your taxes, you're working, you're not involved in any criminal activity or any illegality anymore. This country claims that it's supposed to protect your rights and grant you that second chance, but that never happens, people. Once you have a criminal record, it's over. It's not over, people, but it becomes incredibly difficult because you're constantly judged on that initial offense or your past criminal history, despite the fact that people may know that you're completely different from back in that time. They will bring that past back upon you to diminish your credibility when it suits them. Not because it's actually valid, people, because again, people around you will treat you good because they know that you've changed your life. But the second they need to destroy you and bring you down to a level where they can prosecute you or attack you, they're going to bring up all of that stuff from your past because they're going to hope that that's enough to convince people at large that you're a horrible person and believe them now about what they're saying. Now, I'm not going to say that there are not instances where that does happen, where people may have been bad people before and manipulated the people at large to change their lives and turned out to kill 30 people. People, it happens. It's not impossible. But the majority of the time when someone changes their life, it's because they really changed their life. Because sometimes when things happen to you, you sit back one day and you say, you know something? I'm tired of this shit. I don't want to do it no more. And you decide to do something better. The worst part is when people don't allow you to do that. Or when you run into someone who is so intelligent, they decide to use your past to destroy you. And audience, this is what happened to me. I dated a woman who is my ex-girlfriend out of Staten Island, New York. It was a horrible, you know what? Let me not lie. It wasn't a horrible relationship. It ended horribly because this woman was bitter. She was bitter because, you know, sometimes women are unable to disconnect from their paternal mothers. It's called the narcissistic mother. There's like a term for it. I forgot, people, because I did a whole class on this in some domestic violence counseling I was doing. But there are mothers out there who live their lives through their daughters. And in living their lives through their daughters, what they're going to do is they're going to attach themselves to their mother, kind of like a symbiotic organism, because they need to feed off the success and the life of the daughter because, you know, they've completely dedicated their lives once they had children to the raising of that children. Now, in concept, there's nothing wrong with that. It's only something wrong with that when that mother becomes so toxic, she begins to become a leech that sucks the life out of this person. And I was with a person that I saw this. On top of that, the mother was a horrible person just generally, and she just began to harass me, which was not cool, people. I'm like, you know something, my mother just died. I'm not going to let some other person's mother harass the hell out of me who's not helping me emotionally. So I knew I needed to get the hell away from that situation. The problem was is this woman was incredibly vain, and she felt that she was such a princess and so revered in her community that the embarrassment of a man dumping her, especially a man who was known, could not happen. She didn't want that, people, because she went around telling everybody that I was her babe and all of this other stupid shit that I didn't actually agree with, people, because I know in reality people break up. That's just life. I was aware of this. This child of a woman was not. So her strategy was twofold. It was one, to destroy my reputation by attacking it by putting allegations on me that I physically abused her. I didn't know all of this in the beginning because, again, I don't live in that community anymore. My mother used to live there. So, a lot of the things that happened to me, I was unaware of until it actually reached me, when it reached someone who wasn't so fake that they told me. The next thing she did was she utilized connections in local law enforcement because her pastor happens to be the right hand house nigga of the local DA. And I like to say their names, people. That's Michael McMahon and Victor Brown. And if you take a good look at even the Staten Island DA's Instagram page, Victor Brown's all over that page. People, that's really interesting that a clergy pastor is that close to the police. People, he has no police training. What is he giving the police to suck up to him so much? You do not see this in community activism. The only way you would see a local community activist that close with the police is if he works with the police to grant them the objectives they want. And the objective of the Staten Island District Attorney is the prosecution of innocent minorities. So I'm pretty sure that this Lieutenant Victor Brown has sold out many people in his community and his church in the name of political favors and connections to the district attorney's office. I'm 100% positive of that. I can't fully expose it yet, but I do have some people who support that allegation that I'm making because they have been betrayed or have had resources put against them by this pastor on Staten Island, the same pastor who tried to destroy me. People, I wasn't with it. So I had to learn a way to fight these people and hold them accountable for the things they did, whether I was in court or out of court, because Staten Island has a way of violating people's rights by not calling you to court. And I'm going to tell you how before I get started. So a couple of years ago, I was assaulted upon the evening that I found my mother dead. Some angry family members of mine, angry with me for whatever reason it was. I had done nothing to them, and this is the God's honest truth. It's not me minimizing my situation. I really didn't. I found my mother dead on the floor. I thought she was alive. I got a phone call telling me she fell down the stairs, people. Imagine that. Someone tells you your mother falls. You get there thinking that her leg is broke and she's fucking dead on her bedroom floor. People, it was horribly traumatic. I was fucked up. Forgive the expression. I probably sat on her bedroom floor, holding her, rocking back and forth, crying through my eyes for about an hour. But my mother ain't raised a punk, people. She did raise a very reasonable and logical man that eventually my brain kicked back in. And I said, all right, this is some fucked up shit, nigga. You got to call your sister. So once my brain starts coming in, I'm trying to work. I'm trying to figure out what to do because I just found my mother dead on the floor, people. And the first person I truthfully thought about was my blood sister. Yo, I gotta call my sister. I can't call nobody else fucking first. This is her mother. I couldn't remember my sister's fucking number thanks to the cell phone era. I didn't even know my mother's password because I was in shock, people. My hands were shaking so bad I couldn't dial my mother's password in her iPhone. So finally, this guy shows up. He's able to help me dial in the password. Whatever happens, whatever happens. My sister gets there. I can't exactly remember. Actually, I do remember. I want to be honest. I just don't want to talk about that, right? She does come eventually. But before she gets there, a cousin of mine shows up. This cousin literally lived right around the corner from my mother. Right around the fucking corner, people. My mother lived here. The bitch lived here. You know what I'm saying? I live in New Jersey. This girl used to drive by my mother's home, which was next to her church, every day, people, and never speak to my mother for years. Now, my mother drops dead, and she decides to blame me for this. How the fuck is it my fault that you didn't go see a woman that lives around the corner from you? How is that my fault? She's blaming my mother because she says my mother took my side against her. Bitch, that sounds like a you problem. It sounds like you was mad that you thought my mother took my side and you chose to stop speaking to her. So that's not my fault. That's your fault. But in any event, this girl shows up at the home, my mother's home, and people, again, I'm in shock. I'm upstairs holding my dead mother. Cop comes upstairs and he says, you know, Clayton, your sister's downstairs because we found your mother inside unalived. We need you to identify, not identify, well, at least, identify your sister because we can only let immediate family in, mother, brother, father, etc. Immediate family, not cousins, not aunts. This is what happens when someone dies in a family. They only allow immediate family in there, and that's mother, children, husband, brother, no aunts, no uncles, no fucking cousins. They don't play that unless there's no immediate family like I'm discussing, mother, brother, father, children, etc. The only people they will allow in there is those people. So they would only allow my mother's mother in there, her brother, myself and my sister. So I go downstairs and I see this woman at the door, and it's not my sister. Now, I didn't want to lie and tell the police that this was my sister, and then my actual sister comes there and she can't get in. So I told the fucking truth. I told the cop, no, sir, that's not my sister, that's my cousin. And I was polite to this cousin, even though I hadn't spoken to her in years. I said, listen, I found my mother dead upstairs. I was crying, people. You would think that would be enough to tell somebody this shit is serious. But I said, give me a couple of minutes. I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened. Yo, people, her bitch ass sucker husband, as I turn around and walk away, bro, he attacks me and says, I did this. People, they jumped me on my dead mother's porch, and I have to fight them off. Now, luckily, I can fight. So I was still able to whoop this pussy nigga ass, even though I still got jumped on by a bunch of fat women. This is how my Achilles broke. The weight of 3 or 4 fat women that rushed me because I was beating up my cousin's husband is my Achilles tendon snapped, and I was literally unable to walk for a year. This is the God's honest truth. So, people, this guy assaults me on the death of my mother, and he's arrested for it. Let's say that. But the Staten Island District Attorney's Office was already against me, people, because Gwendolyn Carr had filed a false report on me saying I stole her car. So the Staten Island District Attorney's Office released this guy and never put an order of protection on him, people. He just assaulted me. And it was a dangerous assault, not a deadly assault, a elevated assault, people, because it requires surgery. That's a felony offense. They never put an order of protection on this guy, people, and they allowed him to go to my mother's funeral. They refused to put an order of protection against the people who jumped me, who gang jumped me on the death of my mother. The Staten Island District Attorney's Office is horribly corrupt. I have a long track history of corruption against Michael McMahon that I have every intention of speaking against. So now, people, I have this guy who assaults me. They never put an order of protection against him. People, they actually dismiss his case and never charge him and lie to me and tell me that they gave him an order of protection. So let's fast forward a year later. I'm recovered. I'm healthy. I'm strong. I'm going to Staten Island. I'm in a barbershop. This guy, I walk in the barbershop just to use the ATM, people. This guy's in the barbershop. Oh, shit. I see him. Immediately, people, I wanted to get it. But you know what? I was wiser. I said, you know what? Just get your money and get out of here. So now I put my card in the ATM, and this gentleman says, can we talk? And I kind of looked at him, and I said, yo, homie, step the fuck off, yo. And I just put my pen in. He was like, yo, man, it's been a year. We need to talk. You're trying to sue me and my wife. You know, we didn't do anything to you. I said, yo, nigga, step the fuck off, bro. He says, listen, you're not going to sue my wife. People, I rocked him. Pop! Popped him. So I beat his ass in the barbershop, spank him out. This is the truth. So I spank him out in the barbershop. His son was there. His son is crying, daddy, daddy, daddy. It felt so good beating this bitch nigga ass. I'm going to be honest with you. Excuse my language. He jumped me on my mother's death. Beating this guy ass felt so good in this barbershop. I'm going to be honest with you, people. After I beat him up, the barbers break us up. He's mad. He's like, yo, you think you got it? All right, bet. He jumps in his car. He grabs the kid, runs to his car, speeds off. Now, people, at first, I was cool, but the barber says to me, he says, yo, he might call the cops on you. You fucked him up kind of bad. I'm just like, oh, shit, you're right. They do this. This guy plays tough, but the truth is he's a pussy. Him and his wife been calling the cops on me for years, lying through their chief, trying to get me arrested, all types of shit this kid did to me. And the only reason he was even married to his wife, people, was because of me and the things I did to help him, because she knew that he was a fucking cornball. This is the God's honest truth. She was cheating on him with every Spanish dude that would give her some penis. I'm the one who went and told her to get with him for his military benefits because she wasn't that pretty. And as she got older, it would become more obvious. And if my Uncle Harold is watching this podcast and you hear this, Uncle Harold, throw a comment down there to tell my audience that every word I'm saying is the truth. I literally told my cousin to marry her husband because he was in the army and he would get good benefits, and she was ugly. And as she got older, she would get ugly. So her options was not what she really thought. She finally listened to me and she married this dude. That's the God's honest truth, people. But anyway, so now I beat this guy up in the barbershop. And when the barber says this to me, I said, you know what, people, I'm going to get to my podcast in a minute. Give me about 10 minutes. So when the barber gets to me, he's like, yo, you should call the cops. I didn't want to, people, but, I had to be smarter because they had already done it to me. I said, bet. I called up the police. I decided to wait. Now, people, the police don't come for like an hour. I'm in the barbers with the dudes. We laughing, joking on dude about how I beat him up. how he was on the floor, how the little boy was saying, "Daddy, get up, Daddy." Yo, as we saying this, yo, the dude car pull up to the barbershop. Yo, the nigga went and got his wife to come jump me, bro. Yo, they get out the car. The wife got a bottle. The wife is my cousin, by the way. He got a crowbar, a tire iron. He's like, yeah, now what? Him and his wife is jumping me. So I just beat this grown man up, this guy who's in the military, supposedly one of our nation's bravest. He goes and gets his female wife to come back and help him jump me. And now they really do this. And now I'm gonna be honest with you people. This guy had a tire iron. I'm not stupid. I jumped in the barbershop and closed the door. I said, yo, listen, that nigga hit me. Right. So I'm trying to get away from him. The barbers is trying to help me. They at the door. They're like, yo, you know something? You can't come in here. But he's swinging the tire iron at them. So people, they don't want to get hit with a tire iron. They get the hell out the way. Clayton's on his own. He comes in the barbershop. I realize I got to deal with this guy. So he's trying to hit me with the tire iron. So people, I just said, fuck it, let him hit you. He swings the tire iron towards my ribs. I catch it, rock, bow. Split his forehead open with the first shot. He goes down. I start punishing him. As this is going on, the police come. They break up the fight. He's leaking all over the place. I'm leaking too because the motherfucker hit me in the head with the tire iron. Once I let him go, he still hit me with the tire iron again before I took it. So I'm kind of leaking from the side of my shit. Whatever, it's over. I feel good, people, because I finally avenged this man who disrespected the death of my mother. I felt good putting blood in this motherfucker's mouth for what he did to my mother that night. I'm sitting there now, people. I'm a victim. Remember, this guy jumped me with 4 people a year prior to this by criminal law. Anyone who assaults a person beyond the point where that requires surgery, a mandatory order of protection is supposed to be put on the victim for a year. So, people, I thought it was an order of protection against this guy because, again, people, I was told that he was made to cop out. You can imagine my surprise when I found out that the Staten Island DA's office lied to me, that there was never an order of protection on this guy. And this guy who assaulted me a year prior had never been criminally prosecuted, even though I had gone to surgery and been in therapy for a year. Now, people, that was a horrible violation of my procedural process and victims' rights because they were not supposed to do that. But it's the Staten Island DA's office, people. And guess what? I was an ignorant nigger at the time who didn't have the money or the basic understanding of how serious civil rights violations was, that they knew they were going to get away with it, people, and they tried to get away with it. So, people, now I get arrested for assaulting a man who literally came and jumped me with his wife after he assaulted me a year prior and picked a fight with me in the barbershop. So again, this guy assaults me with 4 people. I see him a year later. He instigates a fight with me in the barbershop. I beat him. He comes back with his wife with 2 weapons, jumps me, assaults me with that weapon, and a tire iron has been classified by New York criminal law to be a deadly instrument. If someone hit you in the head with a tire iron, you could die. That's a deadly instrument. This guy committed a felony offense, but the Staten Island District Attorney's Office never charged him. So now, people, they arrest me for assaulting this guy, even though I was defending myself, and him and his wife jumped me with a tire iron and a bottle. Staten Island DA's office charges me with his assault. People, fuck that. I get a lawyer. I'm going to sue them. Unfortunately, for me, people, at this time is when everything started with Francine Evans. People, she literally waged war on me. So now I'm getting pulled between all of these legal battles, people, because I'm suing the DA's office here. I'm trying to get justice here. I'm trying to get justice here. I'm trying to get justice there. My lawyers quit, people. I didn't have the legal knowledge I have now. My lawyers quit on me. When my lawyers quit, they reached out to the Staten Island DA's office telling them that I wanted to prosecute that gentleman. They reached out to a prosecutor by the name of Alva Prenga, I believe her name is, because I have the email. They reached out to her and tell her that I want to prosecute this guy. And they literally give her an email. Wait a minute. He assaulted my client a year prior and put my client on recovery for almost a year. My client had multiple surgeries to his Achilles heel because of what him and his wife did. And now they come and jump him a year later and you're not prosecuting them. People, the Staten Island DA's office had a problem. So this is what they did. They scheduled what's called an ex parte hearing and never notified me or the attorney. And then they dismissed the allegations against this guy. People, that is a huge procedural due process violation because as the victim of a crime, I had to be made aware this was going to happen. But people, they never did that because the office of Michael McMahon is fundamentally corrupt. And this is what they do. So now, people, I'm dealing with all the litigation from Francina Evans, my ex-girlfriend who was stalking me and who the Staten Island District Attorney's falsified a complaint so they could arrest me after I won an order of protection in New Jersey. They do this to me, and what they do is arrest me on a fictitious complaint and try to prosecute me on that complaint. While they try to prosecute me on that complaint, people, they use social media because they have a pretty decent social media presence in conjunction with my ex, who was excellent at social media marketing, to create a narrative that I was stalking her in conjunction with their criminal charge. I fought that off for about 8 months, people, until finally, guess what? The record of the court is what saved me. The record of the court saved me like this, people. See, my ex and I had a trial that lasted about 3 weeks, and every trial date was recorded. During those trial dates, things were said. These things were documented as being on the record said in court. Now, after I won this order of protection in New Jersey, my ex decided to go to Staten Island, where she was connected to the local DA through her personal relationships and through her corrupt, unethical pastor, Victor Allen Brown. And they decided to create a complaint against me, dismiss the warrant against her, and allow her to attack me in criminal court. They totally disregarded the fact that she had just came from a trial in the state of New Jersey where she had been proven to be the offender. And all the allegations that she alleged against me were definitively dismissed. They weren't lowered, people. They were dismissed, thrown out completely. It was determined on the record that they were actually false. They literally said on the record that her allegations were false and lacked credibility. But the Staten Island DA's office decided to pick them up and re-prosecute me for them in the state of New York, even though they all happened in New Jersey. There's something that's called territorial jurisdiction. And it is what governs a state's ability to prosecute an offense within its territorial borders, meaning the state of New York, the state of New Jersey, county borders, the county of New York, Queens County, Brooklyn County, Manhattan County, the county of Essex County, Union County. Let's go to I'm anywhere you think of. Florida, Passaic County. No, I'm sorry, that's Jersey. Florida is Pinellas County. I'm just trying to think of different county names so you understand. A county, a city, a state has a territorial jurisdiction that allows that state to do business for that state, which is crimes, anything within that state. The NYPD has territorial jurisdiction over crimes that happen within the city of New York and no, just the city of New York, people. They can't charge you for something in another part of the state of New York. The other part of that state, like if it's Buffalo, Rochester, Albany, Syracuse, they would have to prosecute you, just like New York has to prosecute you. New Jersey has to prosecute you for anything happens in New Jersey in that county where it happens. Essex County, Union County, Middlesex County, etc. Richmond County, Staten Island cannot prosecute someone for allegations that happened in Essex County, New Jersey. It's impossible, people. The only way it can be done is if the crime is false, the complaint is falsified enough to make the allegations appear as though they happened in the state of New York. And that's what the Staten Island District Attorney's Office did to me. They took the allegations my ex made in a complaint that happened in New Jersey, and they decided to falsify a complaint using an order of protection she had to issue a violation against me and arrest me allegedly for stalking and harassing this woman. Now, unfortunately, later people, they had to eat egg and they had shit on their face because this woman who they put before the media and told everyone she was a victim, and this woman who they were leading marches with, screaming, Victor, breaking up is not a crime. They had to drop the case against me because I didn't do it. The record of the court proved that she had been definitively convicted and her allegations were a lie. So Staten Island tried to get out of that real quick by giving me something called an ACD and immediately dismissing my charge. Now, let me explain what an ACD is. An ACD is called an adjudicated conditional discharge. And basically, the point of an ACD is allegedly it's like a play they're supposed to give you where they will supervise you for 6 months to a year to make sure you don't reoffend. And then if you don't reoffend, they totally dismiss your charge. But people think that the ACDs are only given when they want to give you a deal. No, sometimes ACDs are given to protect the prosecutor's record. And that's what happened in my case, people, because the prosecutor's office contacted my attorney and told my attorney that if I was willing to accept an ACD today that was immediately sealed, they would drop the charges right then. People, I vehemently refused. And I have my attorney on tape. If it's ever a lie that I chose to take this ACD? No, people, I refused. I wanted a complete dismissal. But he said in order to go to dismissal, I would have to pay another $30,000. I said, no, I won't. We just won't take this fucking ACD. And I bet you they're going to drop this case because the truth is they know it's a lie. He said, Clayton, I know, but you know something? You can still sue them with an ACD because you're right. They totally violated your civil rights. So you should take the ACD now and go and get a civil lawyer immediately and sue them because, Clayton, you have a hell of a civil case. They totally violated your civil rights. People, as much as I didn't want to agree to this, I said, okay, but she's not going to have no order of protection, no terms. He said, absolutely not, Clayton. They're dismissing it immediately. What that means is that the criminal court order that she has against you right now is immediately dismissed. She has nothing against you and it's closed. And Clayton, that will tell a court in itself that clearly you didn't do this. Because if you did this to stalk and harass this woman, why are they closing the case out immediately and dismissing the order of protection that protects her, Clayton? That never happens in domestic violence. In domestic violence, they would have to put a domestic violence order of protection on you. The fact that they don't is going to show the trial court that you didn't do this. And the DA's office did this just to protect themselves. I thought about it. I said, okay, people, the shit was so real, I didn't even have to go to court. They did this without me being there, totally closed the case and dismissed my ex's charges and order of protection. So people, I finally sued the Staten Island DA's office for civil rights violations committed through a history of violating my civil rights, false arrest, not protecting me pursuant to the 14th Amendment as a victim, granting me equal protection under color of law. Because people, if this guy assaulted me with a crowbar, then naturally he was supposed to get a felony fucking offense because that's a deadly instrument. How did they dismiss this guy's charges when an attorney contacted the Staten Island District Attorney's office and told them that I wanted to press charges against them? Now, I'm not mad at the guy who did this because people, I beat him up. I don't give a fuck about this guy. He's a complete pussy. You know, like he's married to my ugly ass cousin. They got some silly looking little retard kids with big ass heads. I could care less about this guy anymore. God has punished him more with an inadequate life living in his mother's house than he'll ever do to me. So I'm quite confident in that. My problem is what the district attorney of Staten Island did. Because, see, audience, the district attorney of Staten Island has a documented history of violating my civil rights. Michael McMahon has been doing this shit to me for 4 or 5 years. And finally, I've wised up enough to know how I can beat him. People, I cannot beat Michael McMahon only by speaking out against him in public. I have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the attorneys in his office violated my civil rights in the procedural actions they took, handling me as both a victim and a defendant. Both times I was arrested and I was subject to some type of criminal violation, excuse me. I didn't know how to do that at first. It took a lot of effort. It took a lot of work. It took a lot of research. It took some classes. But finally, people, one of my legal research professors said, he was talking to us in lecture, and he says, you know, some of you out there may think that activism is the only way to stop corruption. It's not. And I asked the question immediately. Then what does it take to stop a corrupt judge and a corrupt lawyer? And he said, Clayton, one word, transcripts. And at first I didn't understand. I was like, what the hell is he talking about? And then immediately it hit me. See, people, everything said in a courtroom is recorded. Everything is recorded. Sometimes a judge may stop and say off the record, but even if they do that, you can stop talking. And the purpose of them recording everything is so they can go back and reflect on anything that was done wrong. Now, there are two aspects of law. There is statutory law, and then there's, I forgot the other name of it, procedural law, excuse me. The statutory law is the written law, the constitutional law, the laws of the state of New York, the laws of the state of New Jersey, etc. I forgot the name again. Damn, people. Constitutional law, statutory law, judicial law. I think it's judicial. Yeah. The other law is just case law. It's the review of statutes by the court and the decisions made from previous cases. I'm sorry, people. It's early in the morning. I'm off. My brain is not there. So you have to use a transcript in order to break apart the record of a court. And then once you break apart the record of a court, what you're going to do is you're going to apply that to judicial or statutory guidelines to see what this attorney or judge did to you. So, people, I'm kind of rambling now. Forgive me. Let me actually get into the side because the story took longer than I expected, but I wanted to tell the story to get you to the point to understand how I learned how to do this because sometimes the back history is important. Let's get right to it, though, because I've been talking too long. I realize that. Okay, here we go. Using the oral record of the court to hold judges and attorneys accountable for your rights violations and professional misconduct. I've actually learned that it's better that I show my face also, but I can't see for shit when I do that. Forgive me, people. Actually, I can. All right, wow. There we go. That's better. Well, let's see if we can do this like this. I don't like that one. Let's see if we can do this like this. I like that one, and I always like being on the right. There we go, people. That's better. All right, so the agenda for this is we're going to understand the oral record of the court. We're going to identify violations and misconduct. We're going to assess the record of the court. Well, we're going to assess the cost of transcripts and records. We're going to talk about preparing against a case against a judge or attorney, and then we're going to talk about filing the complaint and seeking redress. Redress is relief or what you want from the court. Let's make sure I can see all of this today. Understanding the oral record. Definition and purpose of the oral record. Rule 1. Learn to become a great listener. The oral record and transcripts. I got to make this bigger, people. I can't believe this shit. Forgive me. Let's just do it like that. Okay, what is the oral record of the court? The oral record is a written verbatim transcript of events and dialogues that occurred during the court proceeding. The purpose of the oral record, its primary purpose is to ensure an accurate account of proceedings which supports transparency in judicial proceedings, facilitating appeals. The oral record facilitates appeals or reviews in cases of misconduct or rights violations by providing reliable references. So to surmise, the record of the court is everything said by a lawyer, judge, or yourself in court that can be used later against them to hold them accountable if they did something wrong, which you'll need and we'll talk about as we continue. Components of the oral record. Why you need transcripts. Why it's all documented. Dialogue and proceedings. The dialogue between the judge, attorneys, and witnesses is essential for capturing the dynamics of the case. Ruling and decisions. Relevant rulings and decisions made during the proceedings shape the outcome of the case and are crucial for understanding the oral record. Context of the case. Each component of the oral record contributes to understanding the broader context and implications of the case. So people, a lot of the stuff said in court, when attorneys make little comments, when a judge makes a snide remark, all of that's caught on the record, people. And this is how you catch judges and attorneys. You catch them by catching them doing and saying things wrong while you're in court. How the oral record is maintained and processed. How transcripts are created and processed. Types of recording and accessing. Maintenance by court reporter. Court reporters play a crucial role in maintaining the oral record by accurately transcribing spoken words during court proceedings. Now, this is actually done two ways. It's done through a physical court reporter, and it's also done through the next subcategory, which is digital recording systems. And that's basically they just wire the courtroom for sound and they cut the mic on and they record every word of it. Then they take that digital file and they send it to an approved transcription service, and that transcription service turns it into a transcript you can use for review later. Digital recording systems. Digital recording systems are increasingly used to maintain oral records, offering reliable and precise documentation of court proceedings. Accessing the oral record. Accessing the oral record varies by jurisdiction, typically requiring formal requests submitted to the court for review. Accessing the oral record of the court, people, takes what's called a transcript request. All courts have basic transcript request forms. Simply contact the clerk of whatever department of the court, whatever arm of the court, that you're trying to be involved in, whether it's the civil court, the family court, the criminal court, and ask them, can you have the I forgot what it's called. God damn. The transcript request. That's exactly what it's called. The transcript request to receive the transcript of the hearing. You're going to need the date of the hearing, the judge, and more than likely the part or courtroom whatever it was in. So that's important. Remember the judge, the date, and the part or whatever room in the court that it was designated to. Those are going to be normally the identifying factors for a transcript. Identifying violations and misconduct. Recognizing rights violations by judges or attorney. The scales of justice are not balanced. Law, violation, accountability. Importance of upholding the law. Judges and attorneys play crucial roles in maintaining the rule of law and participating in individual rights. Their conduct directly impacts justice, and that's true, people. Types of violations. Common violations include bias, discrimination, and unlawful conduct by legal professionals that undermine the justice system. Tampering with evidence, falsifying narratives, withholding witnesses. These are all things that are violations to your civil rights. Awareness for accountability. Raising awareness about the rights violations is essential for promoting accountability among judges and attorneys in the legal system. And this is why I speak out against the Staten Island District Attorney's Office, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, and every prosecutor's office I have been in that have violated my rights. Corruption, when a governmental agency violates your rights through corruption, bias, discrimination, racism, or manipulation, you have an obligation to speak the truth. Don't get quiet. Don't get afraid. Don't let the complexity or just the sheer I want to say magnitude of the situation force you to cower and not say anything. You got to say something, because if you don't say something, what's going to happen is they're going to keep doing it to people and keep doing it to people. And if you're unlucky, it might happen to you again, because don't think lightning don't strike twice, people. It definitely does. Identifying professional misconduct. Learn to do your research. Rules of court, professional standards. Forms of misconduct. Professional misconduct can take many forms, including conflicts of interest, unethical actions, and neglect of duty. The best way to be able to identify attorney or judge misconduct in your city or your state is to look for your state's rules of professional conduct and rules of judicial conduct. That's going to be your starting point. You're going to have to comb through those two items, a rule of professional standard and a rule of judiciary conduct. You're going to have to comb through those and apply what happened to you to a rule within those sections of whatever violation you may determine happened to you. And 9 out of 10 people, you'll be able to do it because they're pretty simple and clear cut. Importance of identification. Identifying professional misconduct is crucial for maintaining ethical standards and ensuring justice within the profession. Now, it is important to identify professional misconduct, but it's not easy. And they make it hard because they don't want anybody to just be able to put allegations on a profession that has been revered since the beginning and the start of this country, and since the beginning and the start of civilized society. Actually, the law and the practice of the justice system is what creates order in a civilized society. So it's one of the oldest and most respected professions in the world. In the world, yes, absolutely, is being a judge, a magistrate, or an attorney, a litigator, whatever it might be called in your state, a facilitator in some places, a solicitor, excuse me. All of these terms are one of great prestige, honor, credibility, and it's looked at as such. So they, over time, over generations, over thousands of years of practicing this area of civilized society, have created rules and protections for themselves. So not just anyone can get you debarred, dislicensed, or brought before a board. You literally have to do your best to prove this happened to you in order to effectuate a result. Gathering evidence and documentation. If you don't plan, you will fail. Putting the pieces together. Documenting misconduct. Accurate documentation of instances of misconduct is essential for supporting a complaint effectively. Eyewitness accounts. Gathering eyewitness accounts can provide valuable insights and corroborate the evidence collected. Compiling oral records. Compiling relevant sections of the oral record helps create a great comprehensive picture of the events. The easiest thing that it's going to be for you to do is get the transcript once you get the paper. The hardest thing it's going to be for you to do is understand it. And you're going to have to take time to understand it. It's going to be a daunting task. The writing is small. The language is dry. It's going to affect an emotional response in you because you're going to relive the things that happened during that court session. And hypothetically, if your ex-partner or your offender lied on you, you're going to get angry, people, because you're reliving the trauma of this person lying on you and violating your rights. But you're going to have to get to a point where you put all of that to the side, people. And it's hard, people. It really is not to be hard to a situation that you are personally connected to and effectively do this. This is why attorneys hire attorneys, people, because it's really hard to represent yourself when you have an emotional attachment to a situation. And I've learned that personally. Accessing the oral record. Requesting the oral record from the court. Filing for transcripts. Requesting the transcription. Formal request procedure. Individuals must submit a formal request to obtain the oral record of the court following court-provided guidelines detailing the case. The request must include detailed information about the case and specific materials needed from the oral record. Reviewing and transcribing the oral record. The art of citing the record. Detail you review and logging. Importance of reviewing. Reviewing the oral record is crucial for identifying relevant information and understanding the context of the content. Transcription for clarity. Transcribing sections of the oral record may be necessary to ensure clarity and accurate reference, especially in complaints. Noting key parts of the oral record relevant to the violation or misconduct. The importance of proper citing. Why proper citation matters. Importance of key evidence. Identifying key parts of the oral record is essential for substantiating allegations of misconduct. This evidence serves as a backbone of the complaint. Strengthening the case. Focusing on relevant details strengthens the overall case, ensuring that all pertinent information is considered during the complaint process. Preparation for formal complaint. Thoroughly noting key parts of the record aids in the preparation of a formal complaint, leading to a clearer and more compelling case presentation. The cost of transcripts and records. How much do transcripts cost? Reality of transcripts. Transcripts are not cheap. Be prepared to pay $200 for a 30 or 40-minute hearing. They usually are processed in 30-day, 7-day, and 24-hour periods. The average full-day trial is around $1,000 for a transcript. Now, those 37 and 24-hour, those 30-day, 7-day, and 24-hour periods are based on a payment scale, with obviously the 30 days being the least expensive of the three. The next is the 7-day, and the 7-day is about the cost of the regular transcript plus 50% more. And the 24-hour, they usually double the cost of the 30 days. So if you're going to pay $1,000 for a 30-day transcript, look to pay close to $1,800 to $2,000 for a 1-day transcript to be provided in 24 hours. And to be fair to these people, it is a lot of work because they do have to listen, transcribe this out. They have to carefully review every word said. So it's a process, people. I've learned to respect it and not think it's highway robbery. Can you request for free from the court? Petitioning for transcripts at the public expense. Now, you can petition the court for a transcript if you cannot afford to pay. Be prepared to provide at least 6 months of financial records to show the court that you do not have the ability to meet the financial costs associated with the transcript. The court usually only pays when it regards child custody, and people, that's the truth. I have been looking all over. I've been stalked, harassed, cyber harassed, fired, lost my legal business because of all the stuff my ex-partner did, horribly destroying my finances. People, it didn't matter. If it wasn't about a child custody case, they refuse to pay for a transcript at the public expense. They won't do it. They'll give you a lawyer at the public expense. That's true. But they will not provide you, at least in New Jersey. I haven't done it in New York yet. New Jersey won't give you the written transcript because they'll actually provide you a CD for $10. And then with that CD, they expect you to bring it into court, kind of break it apart into the parts of the CD that you actually, no, I'm wrong. They don't even let you use the CD in court. They want you to use the transcript in court. So you still have to get the transcript in order for the court to use it. And I know that because my ex tried to use the CDs to prosecute me on an appeal, and they was like, no, you need the transcript. Preparing the case against the judge or an attorney. Organizing the evidence and documentation. Order and organization are your friend. Organize for simplicity. Clear presentation. A clear presentation of evidence is crucial for effective communication, ensuring all materials are easily understood. Coherent structure. Organizing evidence coherently helps create a compelling narrative, making it easier for the audience to follow. Compelling argument. A well organized presentation of evidence strengthens the argument, making it more persuasive and impactful. People, that brings me back to what I said at the beginning of this podcast, people. And that's the truth, is that the law is just like being a good writer. The better you can create a narrative and put documentation around it to support it that can't be refuted, the more likely you are to get what you want in court. People, it really doesn't matter whether or not a person is guilty. And I've learned that as being an innocent man falsely prosecuted. And what matters is the narrative that the person who wants to hurt you can create to use against you. That's what you're fighting when you're in a domestic violence intimate partner situation with a partner who's using litigation to harm you. You're fighting that partner's ability to create a narrative that sticks against you. The worst thing you can do is feed into it. And people, I'll be honest, I kind of fed into the false narrative about me because I was so angry at what this person did to me. Your anger is going to be used against you. What I'm telling you is the most real and honest answer I can give you. You should remember what I'm saying because it's important. You have to learn to control your anger in this situation. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be your biggest enemy. And you're going to have a right to be angry. Don't get it wrong. You have a right. But this is what's going to happen to you. They're going to use your natural human instincts against you. I can totally verify this. Consulting with legal experts or advisors. Try your local law school library. Law libraries open to the public. Valuable insights. Consulting legal experts can yield valuable insights that clarify the complaint process and strengthen position. Navigating legal complexities. Legal experts can help individuals navigate potential complexities in the legal system, ensuring a smoother process. Refining your complaint. Engaging with legal advisors can assist in refining your complaint for better clarity and impact. Now, here's the truth, people. Like anything in life, you need a network and you need friends. The more friends you have that are in the legal profession, the better of a shot you have if you're a self litigator who needs someone with the experience to review your documentation. Because most people are not going to do it for free. The domestic violence programs that you hear about in your local city or state agencies, they give you lawyers, but those lawyers are not going to provide you the legal assistance you need as a pro se litigant. I've never seen it happen. I've never seen a pro se litigant granted an attorney to help them fight their case. They'll give you an attorney to either fight the case for you or they'll give you no attorney. I've never seen them give a pro se litigant a case to help them fight a case. I'm not going to say it's not impossible. I've never seen it. Filing the complaint and seeking redress or relief. Learn your options. Relevant oversights bodies. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Submitting the complaint to the appropriate authority. Do you wish disciplinary action or sanctions? There are two types of things you can do against an attorney or a judge. You can seek disciplinary action with the Ethics Review Board or the Judicial Board of Review, or you can seek what's known as sanctions, where the court will impose fines or restrictions against an attorney for misconduct that you prove actually happened. That's the only two things that you can do to get an attorney. Learn your options. Relevant oversight bodies. Complaints should be directed to the appropriate oversight bodies like the State Bar Association or Judicial Conduct Commission, like I've just told you, audience. Understanding jurisdiction. Understanding jurisdiction is crucial for effectively submitting a complaint to the right authority. That's kind of like I was saying with prosecuting a criminal complaint in New York that happened in New Jersey. See, these cops in New York might have charged me, but I can't go to New Jersey and write them up with the New Jersey Civil Rights Administration because I got arrested in New York. It's not going to work like that. I got to go to New York and use New York Civil Liberties Union and New York's Department of Discrimination. I forgot what it is. Oh, the Department of Investigation to file these violations against the NYPD because that's the governing agency that did this to me. I can't go into New Jersey and charge the NYPD with violating my civil rights because they're a New York agency. That's territorial jurisdiction. So the NYPD, again, had no right to arrest me for an offense that was originally reported in New Jersey. They fucked up. Understanding jurisdiction, submission of process. Following the correct submission process ensures the complaints are reviewed and addressed appropriately. And people, you should pay attention to that because they're going to have a bunch of stipulations on this. If there's any pending litigation surrounding anything going on with you and the attorney who's involved in this matter, most oversights and ethics boards will not review your complaint. They're going to say that because there's continuing litigation at this time, they're going to refuse to investigate. And once the investigation's over, you can reapply and they'll help you then. So be prepared for that. We're almost done, people, because we're at an hour and 4 minutes. I shouldn't have told that story that long. Participating in the investigation and hearing process. Be prepared to present your case. Remember the 5 P's, people. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Importance of participation. Active participation in investigations and hearings is crucial for clarifying facts and details surrounding the case. Supporting accountability. Involvement in the process helps ensure accountability and transparency, fostering trust in the investigation. Now, most of the time, if you're a pro se litigant, you're not working with investigators unless you can afford to pay investigators. And most likely, if you can afford to pay investigators, you wouldn't be representing yourself in court, so that doesn't apply. But you may have people who work with you pro bono who want to help you with regard to access to information, some of their resources, that they have investigators, that they have people who may work for a city agency or a state agency to support the fact that you were violated and further diagnose accountability. That's fine. You just need to be prepared. So if something like that pairs up, you can present your case in a summarized fashion that doesn't take 3 days, kind of takes something like 15 to 30 minutes so they get a good sense of what's going on and they can help you. This works when you're dealing with domestic violence advocates, civil rights advocates, agencies, anything you're dealing with. You need to be prepared to present your case so that it's believed when it's told. And then you need to be able to support that case with proof so your offender doesn't prove you're a pathological liar. Because once that happens, these agencies, if they're just agencies, will come after you. Unless you're from Staten Island and what they do is try to cover it up. Seeking potential outcomes and remedies. Be prepared for a battle. Be open and prepared for all outcomes. Understanding outcomes. Comprehending the potential outcomes of filing a complaint is essential for informed decisions and actions. Possible remedies. Remedies may involve disciplinary actions against judges or attorneys, ensuring accountability within the legal system. Seeking justice. Filing a complaint provides individuals with a means to seek justice and address grievances within the legal system. So again, people, as you hear from my own research, and I can provide it to you in case law and statutory law, there is nothing criminally wrong. There is nothing wrong or nothing criminal about exercising the administrative processes of the local municipality or state offices to seek redress or seek relief against a state official who has violated your rights. There's nothing wrong with writing up an assistant prosecutor who you may feel is a racist and violated your rights. There's nothing wrong with filing a grievance against a prosecutor. There's nothing wrong with filing a grievance against an attorney. There's nothing wrong with filing a grievance against a judge. And people, you can actually speak out about it publicly and nothing is supposed to happen to you. Supposed to. Conclusion. It's always going to be an uphill battle. Organize your steps. Oral record importance. The oral record of the court serves as a crucial tool for maintaining accountability among judges and attorneys. Access to records. Understanding how to access the oral record empowers individuals to challenge violations of rights effectively. Challenging violations. Utilizing the court's oral record allows individuals to challenge professional misconduct and uphold justice. People, we live in some incredibly tumultuous times. The justice system is corrupt. The justice system is flawed. The rights of the citizen and the individual are no longer respected. People, I'm black. My rights have never been respected in the United States of America. It's something that we're kind of adjusted to and we fight for every day of our existence. But that change won't come and won't stick unless we learn to hold those in law enforcement accountable when they do things wrong. When a cop falsifies a complaint against you, you need to not give up on it. You need to do everything in your power, whether it's contacting the Internal Affairs Unit, contacting the state organization regarding your civil rights, contacting state agencies regarding discrimination tactics, contacting the attorney general of your state, whatever it takes, people. You need to sit down and do the research necessary to find out how you can hold those individuals who are protected by the government under 11th Amendment immunity, or color of law, as they absolutely call it. You need to figure out what you can do legally by documentation to hold these people accountable. Because if you do nothing, this is how they get away with it. This is how cops back in the 60s and 70s would get away with all of the civil rights violations that were committed. You know why? Because minorities didn't know they could file complaints, the average minority. And when they did file complaints, the system would bury those complaints. So the paper trail of all of the civil rights violations wouldn't exist. People, the law is put in position to protect people. It's not put in position to be used by people to manipulate and control. Or the truth is, maybe it is. Maybe that is exactly the purpose of the law. Maybe the purpose of the law is used to manipulate and control lesser educated people. But does that mean it's right? No. Is that the purpose of the law? Absolutely not. And I think people, as educated participants in this thing we call society, it's our mission to learn as much about our criminal rights and our civil rights as we can. Because if you don't, you become a fool like myself, who was subjected to the racism and malicious prosecution of a local racist district attorney of a small borough in New York City called Staten Island. This gentleman by the name of Michael McMahon decided that my rights did not matter. He decided that as a victim of domestic violence that had been awarded in order by a judge after a trial, that as a black man, I didn't deserve those victim rights. So he ordered his office to disregard my rights as the victim and to frame me for allegations against my offender that he was sexually attracted to. People, this was wrong. Now, once I was able to prove this happened, I might have been talking a lot of shit. I might have been aggressive, and I was obviously angry. People, did that give the Staten Island District Attorney's Office the right to totally disregard my rights and refuse to prosecute my offender, despite the fact they knew that she lied to them? No, people. See, according to the law, they were supposed to grant me justice, and they were supposed to arrest this woman who lied to them and manipulated the office to use the resources granted by the state and federal government that actually protect victims of domestic violence, instead to attack one. Because that's the truth. The Staten Island District Attorney's Office was granted resources by the federal government to protect victims of domestic violence. People of court determined that Clayton Howard was a victim of domestic violence, not an offender. The Staten Island District Attorney's Office violated their own funding mandate when the office decided to attack me as the victim of the domestic violence offense and empower my offender. And people, that's why I seek justice. I seek to attack their funding. I seek to attack their reputation. I seek to attack what they are about, because this office refused to grant me what I deserved as a victim who had been wronged, which is the simple courtesy of an apology and help as the victim, stopping my situation and moving on with my life. People, I didn't want to do all this. I don't want to be locked in litigation with prosecutors' office and individuals because I broke up with a woman. That's the reality of my life, people. The reality of my life is that I did not become a victim of domestic violence because I was in a domestically abusive relationship. I became a victim of domestic violence because I was in a domestically abusive breakup. See, I broke up with this woman and she became the domestic abuser by utilizing law enforcement and corrupt officials to pursue me in the name of vengeance. People, that's domestic violence. When you pursue someone using false allegations because you're mad, they just want to be left alone, how is that not intimate partner stalking and harassment? It totally is. I have 57 messages in an Instagram conversation with one of this woman's best friends where I asked to be left alone 57 times. This woman in response tells me that I need to forgive my ex and try to work it out with her because we were so in love. We were so in love and happy. What the hell is wrong with you? I've asked you 57 times to have your friend leave me alone. People, that's the reality of domestic violence, that women utilize emotion instead of truth and justice to wage war on men who they feel may have hurt their friends or them. That's the truth. Men do it too, but it's more so women. False reporting and malicious prosecution has become the tool of the vindictive ex-wife or ex-girlfriend to totally decimate the lives of someone who may hurt them. That's wrong, people. And that's what I advocate against, people. I can't sit back being the victim of the crime I was the victim of and allow my ex to comfortably get away with what she did to me. People, she should be held to account. And it's not about vengeance. It's about justice, people. It's not about a vengeance going after her attorney for framing me with the state prosecutors. No, this attorney has an ethical responsibility to do the right thing. The rules of professional conduct in New Jersey, I believe it's 4.1 and 4.4 state that an attorney has a mandatory obligation to review any information submitted to the court to validate its authenticity. What that means in a dummy turn is people that an attorney is responsible for making sure that anything, any information, any narrative, any document submitted to the court or to prosecutors is truthful and unaltered. People, I have an attorney who falsified a narrative on me, submitted false information, and submitted a channel I never created to frame me and get me locked out of a prosecution. People, that's a clear violation of professional standards rule 4.1 and 4.4. The only way I was able to prove this, people, is by accessing the record of the court and the record of what happened between this attorney and the prosecutor, and the prosecutor's very testimony in the family court hearing that I was involved in, where I was framed. On the record, people, this prosecutor admitted that this attorney sent them this information. Now, the great part about it is I have another court transcript where the information the attorney had submitted to the prosecutor's office was proven to be false almost 2 months prior to the attorney submitting it for the client, who was my ex-girlfriend. My ex-girlfriend was mad that the family court denied her allegations, so what she did was have her attorney submit it to the prosecutor's office, along with information she doctored and edited to make me look like I was threatening and harassing the prosecutor. Because of that, I was framed, people. And because of me being framed, an order was issued locking me as the victim of a crime out of a trial, and my ex falsified information in order to be acquitted of that crime. People, that was a horrible violation of my rights as a victim. That was a horrible experience as a victim, to have the prosecutor's office frame you for something you didn't do, then lock you out of the judicial process because you become legally savvy enough to realize what they did and hold them accountable through grievances, complaints, and finally a federal civil rights lawsuit. People, this is the power of corruption. And if I had stayed ignorant, people, I would probably be in jail or in the dark. The only reason I am sitting in front of you right now, not in jail, is because I became more legally knowledgeable, people. I'm 100% positive of that. I'm not going to say I'm not immune to being set up, people. I'm not immune to being set up. Anybody can be set up. But it's a lot harder for them to set me up. And I believe my enemies are aware of that. My enemies in law enforcement, they realize that I've become formidable to an extent. I understand I may not be able to argue in court as well as I can talk about it in a conversation, but people, I understand the law, I understand process, and it's going to be damn hard for them to frame me and set me up effectively and successfully now as opposed to 2 or 3 years ago. So, people, my message in summarizing this, because we're going on a minute, an hour and 20 minutes, yikes, is that you have to become knowledgeable about your civil rights. You have to learn how to use processes and procedures to hold those accountable in law enforcement who may violate your rights through either procedural due process violations or attorney misconduct, and judicial misconduct also, because attorneys and judges can both be guilty of misconduct. You need to educate yourself on the laws of the rules of professional conduct and the rules of judicial conduct in whatever state or territory you live in. The next thing you need to do is learn how to order a transcript. Then you need to discipline yourself to be able to go through that transcript with a highlighter, an iPad, whatever means of documenting or educating yourself you use, whether it be written or digital. And you need to break that transcript down, grab enough instances where you can determine something was definitively done or said, and then learn how to put that together, and not even emotion, because that's harder. Learn how to put it together into a document that makes sense, that can be referenced using the transcript. And 90% of the time, you're going to get an attorney that's going to represent you effectively because you've done most of your work for the attorney. That's the thing about attorneys, people. If you make their job easier, if you can clearly go to an attorney with a clear picture, like my beautiful late mother, in front of you and say, hey, I want you to help me find this woman. You've just done 50% of their job. You've shown them how she looks. That's what you need to do in an attorney. So on behalf of Justice Audience and Operation Rock, again, I am Clayton here to thank you for watching us for an hour and 20 minutes. Damn, we went long today. And I'm here to ask you to spread the message. Like, share, and follow the Facebook group if you can, people, because knowledge is power, and the only way we can spread the knowledge is by having a stronger power base of people. People are important. So those of you who may watch me on my personal profile under my name, shoot over to Operation Rock on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Like, share, and follow these videos because, again, people, it's not about vengeance. It's about empowering victims in order to fight those who seek vengeance against them. Corruption has many faces. It's not just about the person who you may have been in an intimate partner relationship with, who may be trying to do things to harm you. Sometimes it's law enforcement, and they have ultimate ulterior motives. It could be racism, it could be career goals, it could be protecting someone in the office. You don't know the motives or the agendas of another party, and it's not really your responsibility to know. The only thing it's responsible for you to do is prove when they did something wrong to you. So, on behalf of Justice and Operation Rock, people, have a great day. Enjoy yourself.